Hello students, today we are going to start lesson 2 of first flight, that is Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. Full name of Nelson Mandela is Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, and it has been taken from his autobiography, that is Long Walk to Freedom. So before you read, let us see this. Apartheid is a political system that separates people according to their race. What is apartheid? It's a political system that separates people according to their race. Race means personal identity, being black, white, Indian, American, African. Can you say which of the three countries named below had such a political system until very recently? I think it's known to you, South Africa. So, have you heard of Nelson Mandela? Nelson Mandela and his African National Congress spent a lifetime fighting against apartheid. If you have heard about Nelson Mandela, he and his African National Congress, they spent a very long time fighting against apartheid. Apartheid, I already told you, it's a political system that separates people according to their race. So Mandela had to spend 30 years in prison. This man, Nelson Mandela, he spent 30 years in jail. Finally, democratic elections were held in South Africa in 1994, and Mandela became the first black president of a new nation. And finally, democratic elections were held in 1994 in South Africa, and Nelson Mandela, he became the first black president of his new nation. Democratic, it's a form of government in which people have right to choose their head of the government or legislative government. In this extract from his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom, Mandela speaks about a historic occasion, the inauguration. So in this chapter, Mandela has talked about a historic occasion, that was the inauguration. Can you guess what the occasion might be? Could you get this, which occasion might be? Check your guess with the news item from the BBC of 10 May 1994. So, if you will go through this news, you would guess, you would come to know which inauguration or which occasion was that. Mandela becomes South Africa's first black president. Nelson Mandela has become South Africa's first black president after more than 3 centuries of white rule. So after more than 3 centuries, 300 years of white rule, Nelson Mandela has become South Africa's first black president, the report said. Mr. Mandela's African National Congress Party won 252 of the 400 seats in the first democratic elections of South Africa's history. It happened first time in the history of South Africa that in democratic election, or the first democratic election was won by Nelson Mandela's African National Congress by getting 252 seats of the 400. The inauguration ceremony took place in the Union Building Amphitheatre in Pretoria today, attended by politicians and dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world. And this occasion, this inauguration ceremony, which took place in the Union Building Amphitheatre in Pretoria, was attended by politicians and dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world. Never, never again will this beautiful land experience the oppression of one by another, said Nelson Mandela in his address. And in his address, Nelson Mandela said that his country was never going to experience the oppression of one by another. Jubilant scenes on the streets of Pretoria, followed by ceremony with blacks, whites, and colored celebrating together. So the streets of Pretoria, they were, looking very great. They were looking jubilant. They were looking happy, and people of different race, you can say, people, blacks, whites, and coloreds, celebrated this ceremony together. More than 1 lakh South African men, women, and children of all races sang and danced with joy. And more than 1 lakh South African men, women, and children, they participated in this ceremony. They just sang and danced with joy. Now, some activity is given here. See this in column A are some expressions you will find in the next. Make a guess and match each expression with an appropriate meaning from column B. So I have already done it. You can see, you can do yourself also. Let us see now. 10th May dawned bright and clear. For the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged by dignitaries and world leaders who were coming to pay their respects before the inauguration. So Mandela is saying it was 10th May, the morning was bright and clear, and because past few days he had been pleasantly besieged. Besieged means surrounded by dignitaries and world leaders, those who have come to pay their respect before the inauguration. The inauguration would be the largest gathering ever of international leaders on South African soil. And this inauguration was going to be the largest gathering on the land of South Africa of international leaders. The ceremonies took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheater formed by the Union buildings in Pretoria. And these ceremonies of inauguration took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheater formed by the Union building in Pretoria. Amphitheater, it's a building without a roof with many rows of seats rising in steps, and sandstone, it's a material to build buildings. It's a sedimentary rock. For example, in our country, Jama Masjid, Red Fort, and Parliament House, they are made of sandstone. For decades, this had been the seat of white supremacy. For many years, decades, this place was occupied by white people, and now it was the site of a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations for the installation of South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. This is the time when people of different colors and nations, they were gathered there, forming just making a rainbow gathering when this at the time of installation of South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. So that's all for today. Rest we'll do afterwards.